Hi everyone, Tim the Pool Man here, and we're ready to start clinic number 1. As I mentioned, we're going to do 5 clinics over the next little while to give you a bit of insight into the operation of your pool. So today we're going to be doing water testing, and we're going to take a look at 3 kits. We're going to start off and we're going to look at the most convenient, which is the test strips. Like I said, they're very convenient, very fast. So if you want to do a very quick test before people hop in the water, those things work really well. The second one we're going to look at is a liquid reagent. Uses color comparator, and this is called a residential kit, and it's going to be able to do our chlorine and our pH. So a bit more accurate, takes a bit longer, but does give you that accuracy on our 2 basic chemical testing, both chlorine and pH. 80% of pool water chemistry problems relate back to either chlorine or pH. So we're going to hopefully eliminate those today. And the last kit we're going to look at, and the most comprehensive, is considered a commercial test kit. So you'd see that at a lot of your commercial facilities and your pool companies. This is a Taylor kit, and so it does chlorine, both free, available, and combined. It also does pH. It does alkalinity, which is a pH buffer. It does calcium hardness, which affects our piping. And it also does cyanuric acid, which tests as our stabilizer, which keeps our chlorine in the water. So that's the most comprehensive kit. That'll be what we'll be spending the most time on. But I want to show you each one of them. So join us in a minute, and we'll start with our test strips. So the first test kit that we're going to have a look at is, well, it's actually the test strips. So we got the chlorine ones here. But before we do that, it's picking up our sample of water, right? The tendency, especially with the strips, is to just take it over and dip it into the pool. But unfortunately, that doesn't give you the most accurate reading. The first few inches, 6 inches or so of water, is not the true levels that are in the entire pool. So we want to try to get about 12 inches down or so, and then we scoop that water up, and that'll give us a better overall picture of our water. So that's getting a good water sample. So in this case, because we don't have a test block, we're just going to use a glass or some sort of container to get it. So come on over and I'll show you. So we just go over to any edge of the pool. I would stay away from your skimmers. Definitely stay away from your returns, because that's where your chemicals are in the highest concentrations. So somewhere in between. So I just have to turn whatever I'm getting my sample with upside down. Go about that foot down, turn it back up, and for my testing of the strips, got plenty of water. Right? Got our water sample here. So we'll bring it over. We'll grab one of our test strips. Again, we got a good true sample there. And we just put it in. 2, 3, don't put it in for a few seconds. Allow it to really wet it. And then I just flip it upside down. And I can have a look. So looking at here, looks like my pH is in around the 7.2 range. Chlorine is around 1. Alkalinity is between 80 and 120. And down here, my stabilizer is between 30 and 50. So all in all, looks pretty good. Nice simple test. Hi everyone, and we're back for our next test. This time we're taking what's called a liquid reagent test kit, and we're going to be comparing, again, different colors, but this time we're going to be using a liquid solution. This kit comes with a test block, which is here, our 2 testing reagents, one for chlorine, one for pH, and then the 2 caps, which are important. We'll talk about those in a minute. Now, the first advantage over this type of test kit over the strips is that it comes with a test block, so I can get my true sample right using the test block. I don't need to scoop the water into a container and then put the strip in. I can do it right from here. So let's go over and do that. Again, I want to be away from my returns and my skimmers. Turn the test block upside down. Get nice and deep. Turn it upright, and it brings out my sample. So, if I look at here, got a couple of lines, and that's the level I want to be at. So I find the easiest way to tap out that to that level is if I hold this side and I tap over here. Then to get to the level I want, once I'm there, I hold this solid and tap on this side to do the other side. Okay, let's go over and do the test. Okay, now that we have our water sample, we can go ahead and do our test. So we start with our chlorine, which is the yellow one, and I drop it in. We're going to do 4 drops, and we're going to let gravity build the drop. So we do have to squeeze, but we just want to do it slowly. There's 4, and then the red for the pH. 3 and 4. And then, especially the pH side, I want to cap that for sure. And the chlorine side, but because we have pH in our hands, that it's going to affect the test. So then we give it a little shake. Like that. And we place it back down. And now we can have a look at that reading. And if we look at it, looks like we're in the range between 7.6 on the pH side, and we're looking in good shape over 3 on the chlorine. Got the chlorine a little higher today. Very, very hot day today. Pool's getting a lot of use, so we want to make sure that our chlorine's nice and high. So by the time we hit the end of the day, we're not out of chlorine. We want to make sure we always have good levels of chlorine. Boost it up a little in the morning, down at night, but we'll talk about that under water chemistry. There we go. That's our residential test kit. Give us a minute and we'll set up our commercial kit. See you then. All right, we're back again, and now we've brought out our commercial test kit. So it tests on the same principle. We've got a test block, and right now we're going to do our test for chlorine and pH. And so those are the only ones we have out right now. But we've already got our sample because we already showed in the last segment how to pick a proper water sample. Nice and deep in the water, come up, flick off both sides till you get to the proper levels. And that's where we are now. So, first thing we're going to do is the chlorine, which is the smaller side of the 2 cylinders with our reagent number 1. And we're going to put 5 drops in. So, see what happens. 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, you want them to come out slowly so they develop nice big drops. The other one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this was our number 2. And we do 5 drops of it. So we have 5 and 5. And the last one, to do the pH side, we take our number 4. Our number 4, that is, and 5 drops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the pH side. Then, got our, very important, we had a cap on the last one, we got a cap here. So we want to cap it, keep our pH off the test, and then give it a little shake. Lay it down and see what we got. So there's our test. So kind of looking through there without getting in the way. Let me just take a quick look. Yeah, we're looking at between 2 and 3 on the chlorine and about 7.4 on the pH. And that's exactly where you want to be. And that's our test for chlorine and pH on a commercial kit. Be back in a minute to show you how to do alkalinity test. We'll see you then. Hi, and welcome back to our next test on our commercial test kit. And what we're going to be doing now is alkalinity. When we did the chlorine, obviously chlorine is in the pool as a way of killing organics, so we don't get sick off each other if anyone is sick. pH is monitored in a pool because it affects our comfort level. So if the pH is too high, some people may get skin irritation. If it's too low, maybe the same. And a direct buffer to pH is alkalinity. So if you have high alkalinity, chances are you're going to have high pH, and vice versa. So this test is an important test in order to help us maintain proper pH levels. And done a little differently, rather than filling the cylinder up to the 25 to the 25 millimeter mark, as you can see there. Okay. We're using 3 sets of reagents, and the first set is number 7, and what we're going to do is add 2 drops of this reagent into the pH side of the test kit. 1, 2. Again, letting gravity make a nice big drop, and then we give it a swirl. Then we take our number 8 reagent. This time we're going to put 5 drops in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so this one here, you want to really swirl it up so it's all mixed up properly. And you should have a nice green color. And our goal is to put 1 drop in equals 10 part per million when we times it by 10. So if I end up putting 20 of these drops in, I times it by 10 and get 200 parts per million. Should have mentioned that at the beginning. Parts per million is what we're registering. So we have parts per million of chlorine. So if we have 3 parts per million of chlorine in the water. So we want to try to get into the range of 80 to 120 parts per million when it comes to alkalinity. So let's see if we're in that range. Each time we put a drop in, we swirl. So 1, 2, 4, 5, 7. You want to let it make sure it turns all the way red. 10. Clear. And 11. And now we've turned it to a pinkish color. That's what we want. So it was 11. So we take 11 times it by 10. That gives us 110 parts per million. We want to be in the range of 80 to 120. Now, we'll talk more about water chemistry later, but we're using a chlorine that has a high pH, so it'd be a good idea for me to lower that alkalinity a little bit, even though it's still well within the acceptable range. All right, we'll catch you on the next test. Give us a minute. Back to our next test. Next one we're going to do is called calcium hardness test, and this one doesn't really affect bather comfort, but definitely affects the mechanical side. If we have too much calcium in our pool, then that can deposit onto our equipment and in our piping and our pumps and filters and can clog up. So we want to make sure it's in the range. We're looking for a range of 250 to 400 parts per million when we do this test. And it's done the same way as the alkalinity test, where we put in some pre-drops. Then when we get to the main drops, we times that by 10, and that'll give us our parts per million number. So let's get started. We're going to start with reagent number 10, and we're putting 20 of those drops in. Should also mention that we're only half full on the pH cylinder side. That's 25 milliliters. So here we go. So we'll do 20. 1. 2, 20. Okay, once that's done, give it a little swirl, mix it up. And then we're adding reagent number 11. We're going to be adding 5 drops. Again, let gravity make the drop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And give that another good swirl. We want to make sure this is all mixed in. I can look down inside and I can see it swirling around until it's all mixed. And we got kind of a pinkish color there to start with. We're going to grab our number 12 reagent, and here's when we're going to times each one of these drops we put in by 10 to get our final number. And what we're looking to happen here is to see it turn from this pinkish color to a purple. Let's get going. 1, and we want to swirl after each one. 30, starting to change. 31. 33, and you can see it's now changed to a blue, kind of a bluish color. That's 32. I take that, times it by 10, that gives me 320 parts per million, and our range is 250 to 400, so I'm kind of right in the middle, looking good. All right, we have one more test for you, so hang tight and we'll be right back. Okay, our final test of this session is going to be our cyanuric acid. And what that is the stabilizer that we get from our local pool company. And stabilizer, its main job is to help stabilize the pool and keep your chlorine in solution. If you don't stabilize your water and you add chlorine, it is quickly evaporated, especially if it's really sunny. So this one's a money saving, so you want to make sure you do this test so you're using up the least amount of chemicals. Good for the environment, good for your pocketbook, so it's a good test. Right, so in this one, we are using the test block, but we're starting off using this little container that comes in. It's got a couple of measurements on it. One is 7 millimeters and the other is 14. So we're going to start off and we're going to collect our water sample, which takes it up to the 7 mil mark. Come on over. So we do the test kind of the same way as we did all of our other samples. So we turn our container upside down, go down a foot, so we get a true sample. Bring it up, and then we're going to tap out. To our 7 mil mark. Thereabouts. Now over back to the table, and we're going to take our reagent from our commercial kit, and we're going to take our reagent. They never give me enough of this, and I'm actually out. But I am going to go through the sequence so you can see how the test is done. So you take your R13 reagent, and what I'd want to do is I want to fill up to the 14 mark on here. So I would fill that up to the 14 mark. Don't have any, but that's what I would do. Then what I want to do next is I cap this and I shake it for 30 seconds. Nice and hard. The reagent with the water should cloud. That's what we want to see. It's not going to because it's not there, but it would cloud. And then what we're going to do is we're going to pour it into the chlorine cylinder side of our test tube. As you can see, there's a little black dot on the bottom. So what we want to do is pour it in until that black dot disappears. And you want to be in the range of 30 to 100. So then I would take this and squirt it in until it disappeared. Let's say it's at that level. When I look down inside and I can't see the dot anymore, then what I would do is I would pick it up and read on the side what my stabilizer is. And in this case, it would be 50 parts per million, which is right half of where you want to be. So I would hope mine would be in that range when I did it, but you know, we'll see. So that's a cyanuric acid test, important test. This test here, you know, you want to do this at least a couple of times during the season, just to see where you're at. Okay, so that concludes all of our tests. We'll do a quick wrap up in a minute. We'll see you then. And I'd just like to take a moment to thank you for joining us for today's clinic. I hope you found it informative. I know I enjoyed doing it, and I hope you enjoyed having a chance to listen and see it. If you do have any questions or any comments about any of the information we're showing, or if you're having any problems with your own pool, you can contact us at all the links that are in the description below. So yeah, please do that. We'd love to hear from you. So again, thank you for joining us from beautiful Ontario, Canada. Hope to see you on the next clinic. This is Tim the Pool Man signing out.